Welcome to Condor Blue.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Dominic, you are with Northwest Cameras. You're the founder of Northwest Camera as well as the V35 lenses.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that start. How did you get started doing Northwest Camera?
You know, was a DP for a long time, had some gear. At that point, Seattle doesn't have a lot of rental house options, so started renting stuff, kind of did the whole garage operation for a long time, and then, you know, finally moved into a much more big blossoming style business, cameras, G&E, production, soundstage, where we are now.
Now you're a filmmaker first. So tell us
Yes.
about a little bit about your career. Like, how did you get started, and what are some of the projects that you worked on?
Weirdly, this is a funny story because I started acting, and the very first thing I ever auditioned for was a show called Freaks and Geeks,
I love that show.
right? So on this trip, we visited the set of Shrinking for Apple TV. Jason Segel was in Freaks and Geeks,
Yes.
and it was a really cool full circle moment to kind of like see where he started and I did as well. And like he stayed with acting, and here we are on the same lot, like from kind of the same kind of starting place where we auditioned together.
That's
So
awesome.
it was really fun, but acting is how I got into it. So
Yeah.
wanted to make stuff that I could be in, and then started the business side. Just kind of kept stacking things up year after year.
So you have a very unique perspective of both in front of the camera and behind the camera.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
right.
so.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that transition. Was it hard to do that transition? Was it like
No, like for me, when I was acting, somebody tells you to jump, you jump. Somebody tells you to do this, you do this. With cinematography, if somebody says make this scene look more sad, it's so much more of a psychological concept to portray that. And I enjoy that challenge so much more of like how with lighting and camera movement and blocking can you affect a mood or a delivery or enhance a performance visually that subconsciously a viewer picks up on. And to me, I'm I like big challenges. So I felt a lot more engaged with that sort of task.
speaking of big challenges, you
Yeah.
took on the task of creating V35s.
V35 project. Yeah.
Yeah, the
that is,
V35 project. So tell us a little bit about the V35 project, how it came to be,
Yep.
and then and what are you working on now?
Yeah. So V35 project, elevator pitch. It's a custom lens retuning. So instead of rehousing a vintage lens, we're doing, we got it. We're doing the full opposite. So it's like you take a modern lens and optically redesign it to have more vintage look. So starting with a modern optic, you have so much more control over the look, as well as none of the downsides of vintage lenses like chromatic aberration, breathing, color shift, continuity between sets, inconsistent T-stops. Like modern lenses solve a lot of those issues. So it's kind of like the best parts of a vintage aesthetic without the sacrifices you make to have that. So we really like what we're doing there, and we're still kind of the only really people doing it to the extent that we're doing it. So our lens designers are former Panavision engineers, and we are taking, you know, a lot of what he built at Panavision and really revamping a lot of that with his own stuff now. And because of that, all of our stuff is reversible and sideways tunable and can do custom stuff. And we wanted to make it so if people had lenses, they're not locked into one thing. And as a ownership, they can sideways upgrade, get different looks later, hold on to your lenses, create less waste, and have something that is your set forever, you know? So it's a really fun thing.
Now you've got a set of new lenses that you've been working on.
Yep.
A few actually.
We got a lot now, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that process. Is it like when you're making a decision on what to retune on these lenses,
Yep.
what are some of the parameters that you're looking into?
So I mean, like most of our lenses, when we start with a formula based on a popular vintage set to start. Say like our Canon CNEs, they share a lot of legacy with the K35s. A lot of that same optical formula is still actually in the CNEs. So for us, we break down that look of the K35s and try to take that back to the drawing board and make our tweaks to kind of emulate that. Similarly with like the Nisis, you know, we've got our Olympus OMs or like the Super Takamar look on our DZO Arls. So starts with a look, break that down, take it to the designers, see what we can and can't do, and really try to put that into the new modern lens.
And so for those people that want to do that to their set of lenses,
Yep.
How's the process? What's like the
Well, you
the-
could send your set in. You could find a used set for cheap somewhere and then send them in. Or we're dealers for a lot of brands, so you could just, if you like the lens, just buy it outright. It shows up at your door, already tuned, brand new with a warranty, and you're ready to roll.
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about filmmaking. Now you're in Seattle,
I'm in Seattle,
Yeah.
in the distant Pacific Northwest.
in the beautiful Pacific
It is
Northwest.
absolutely beautiful, and that's why I stay there. So it's a real deal.
So tell us about your region. Like, what is the filmmaking community like in Seattle?
It is a beautiful filmmaking community. A lot of talented people. Most of the paid work is corporate, so it's a lot of like boring stuff. A lot of national commercials. Not a lot of big film. But with that, the community really embraces getting together and doing short films a lot. You know, everybody's there to work for free, have a good time, and really like put their passion into filmmaking, because we all do pretty okay in the corporate world up there. So it's just a way to link up and be creative and, you know, shoot the cool, fun stuff.
Now it's a lot of days on set,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
You have a family. I have a family.
I do.
So how do you balance that? Like, what are you doing for yourself, for you and your family, that works, so that
Yep.
you know, everything is good?
I mean, my approach has always been family first. So I always try to adjust my business and pivot as my kids grow up, because every stage they're in require different things. So I'm constantly looking at what I need out of my personal life, because I don't ever really want to sacrifice that for my business. I know
Yes.
how that goes.
Yeah.
And I really like being connected and engaged with my kids. So I really focus on, well, what can I do to now be more remote? They need more of this. How can I do a thing that's going to allow me a little more flexibility here? And my business evolution is now pretty directly tied to how my kids are growing up. And I think that's like a really beautiful thing to see. My evolution of my business, my evolution as an adult, and their evolution as kids are all so like beautifully connected. And I really like that.
What a legacy!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now you keep yourself pretty busy.
I do.
I
Yeah.
heard- I heard that you have now started a new YouTube show.
Yeah, so industry, let's talk about that. I
Yeah.
am a firm believer of the YouTube platform moving forward. It is so much easier to understand how many people are watching your content. It's so much more acceptable to have sponsorship and branding in your videos. Therefore, easier to make money from sponsors to keep your content going. There's so many less people who need to be involved at a client level to approve metrics or this and that, which leaves the content being like really fun again. And we are producing a show called Backseat Driver that is a kind of high-end Top Gear style car review show. First of its kind that's like all anamorphic, crazy landscapes, like wild adventure stuff, but still the car buying market is huge. So really giving honest reviews of vehicles, but in a really fun, high-end cinematic kind of way. So we're just starting to get our first sponsors, and it's a blast. And I really believe that that is kind of a great way forward to do content I really like, because I'm a super huge car nerd. Drive vehicles, which I'm super passionate about, and filmmaking. and go out there and like have the best time with your buddies and have a really good kind of unfiltered show that I feel like people really connect with when it's very clear, like, this isn't created to sell tickets. This is people watch because they like what you're doing.
And you know what? It translates. I got to see the trailer right beforehand.
Yep.
We're gonna link the trailer in this video. But
Awesome.
what I love about it is your genuine passion about the cars,
Yep.
about the image making,
Yep.
and about just the people that you get to make it with. And it translates really well into the
Thank you.
film.
Thank
So
you.
that's really awesome. Now, speaking of industry, you know, we're at this cusp of transition within our industry.
100%.
And you really touched on an excellent point, right? Alternative distributions such as YouTube is very much viable now.
Yep.
You know, we have a lot of outlets now, Amazon, Netflix, and stuff like that. How do you see this medium growing in the future? And then is there room still for traditional media?
Yes, there's 100% room. It's a completely different style. You know, like the YouTube content doesn't give you the time to do these ultra dynamic, big lighting, sweeping things yet. That could change 100%. So far, YouTube is so scrappy, small crew, making things happen. You got to keep budgets small because you're based on your AdSense and sponsorship and like all this other stuff. So you don't start with an investor with a big pile of money that slowly gets spent. You need to earn your own money.
Yep.
And that there's a balance between the budget of making that happen, you know, until you get to a certain point. So yes. And I mean, there's absolutely times when I want to go sit and watch YouTube for hours. But there's absolutely time where I don't. And I want to get sucked into a great show like Shrinking or some wild sci-fi show like Silo. You know, like everything has a purpose. And I think that's why there's so many platforms out there.
Yep.
But YouTube, I feel like the thing the other platforms don't have is the ability to engage with who's watching your content.
Yes, directly,
like in real time.
Yeah.
Like there is something so special about having conversation about products or this and that with people. I mean, we have our YouTube channel for camera stuff.
Yeah.
And like, it's a great example of how wide reaching that gets, how direct. We've had people stop by our booth and be like, I love that conversation we had in the comment section on a video.
Yeah.
And they come back to like meet you in person and it's great. That like interesting part about it is like in 2019, I made a movie that I directed, produced. It's on Amazon, other platforms too. It's very interesting too because it's about a corrupt like medical insurance company, and people start like executing like CEOs of like medical companies, which just recently happened. And our movie like blew up because people were like sharing it like this happened, like the movie was so to this date we got distribution. That was in 2019. It's 2025. I've not seen a nickel, and I've made so much more money on our camera YouTube channel that has like a few thousand subscribers. It's hard to argue. Why would I want to make movies when I could do my own content? And as long as I'm willing to put time in, I can make way more money.
Awesome.
I've self-funded my movie, and like, there's a lot of money to spend to not see any of it come back. So I don't know.
I love that.
You know?
Yeah. That's really interesting. So in this time, right, where we're seeing a growth into that creator industry. Right. What would you say to those people that are starting out? Like a lot of people are like deterred from like speaking out on YouTube or starting something. How would you encourage them?
Oh, I mean, never in the history of like tools that exist has there been so much good stuff at an affordable price point. And even if you don't have anything, but you have your cell phone, it is shocking how much you can do I mean, you guys make accessories for like iPhones and stuff. Like, with a couple $100 worth of iPhone accessories, you can go shoot insanely engaging content. I mean, on a high-end level. I mean, even if you look at people with like TikTok pages that are just shooting themselves talking about like lipstick or whatever. I mean, there's like millions of people that want to watch that.
Yeah.
You can create an absolutely great brand, engaging content. And I think it's the first time where people are going to YouTube and these channels to learn about cooking, to learn how to fix their car, to learn parenting advice, to like whatever in these short 30-second bursts you see in like YouTube shorts or like Instagram reels. I mean, you might not know it, but you could post a 30-second video and change somebody's life. I mean,
absolutely.
How crazy is that?
You know, one of the talks I had earlier, we were talking about just the art of story.
Yep.
I think that that's probably the most important thing, is just learning how to tell that story.
Yep.
Otherwise, the gear has never been good, like you said.
Right.
As good.
Yep.
And never been as accessible as we have it today.
Oh man.
And so really it's just finding that story.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really like if you have the creative like spark, just get out there and like do it. You know? It's weird like how many niche markets are out there. Like you could review bubblegum.
Yeah.
And probably get 1 million subscribers somewhere. Like, I mean,
you're not wrong.
Whatever. You know? Like or if you just want to tell stories because you find meaning in connection with people and stories, doc work, like it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's been a really great conversation,
100%.
Domenic. And you know, we've known each other for a few years now, and I'm looking forward to seeing how everything grows with you and your family as well as your companies.
Well,
so
anytime you're back in Seattle, let me know.
I am finding every excuse to come back.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
So much,
Yep.
Yeah. Sir, that's awesome.
There we go.
Yeah. Super easy, right?